Okay, so first I want to say thank you to Denver Startup Week for giving us the opportunity to share this amazing community of experts and entrepreneurs in the immigrant community or related to that community. This is the 11th annual Denver Startup Week, which is amazing. Thank you to all our sponsors, Amazon, Capital One Cafe, Dell for Startups, and the Downtown Denver Partnership. This session is part of the Spotlight track, which is specifically sponsored by Southwest Airlines and Chase. The Spotlight track is one of 8 programming tracks aimed at supporting the entire entrepreneurial team. By attending this session, you have agreed when you signed up to follow our code of conduct as well as being photographed and recorded on video. Okay, be sure to share your experience at the session online using our hashtags. I have 3 of them up there. Please do that because that will help everybody connect to us when we're done or if they're interested in this topic. All right, so I'm super, oh wait, here's images of the logos, just so you know. So it's part of the recording. That's very important because we really appreciate those people who are making this happen. So today we have 7 panelists. We've got 3 expert resources and we have 4 amazing immigrant entrepreneurs who are here to share their story. So I'm going to start by just introducing you all just basically, and then when it's your turn to speak, I'm going to do a bio because you need to know the background story of them, and then they're going to tell you the most important things you need to know as an immigrant entrepreneur, or if you want to work with immigrant entrepreneurs, how you can effectively do that. And then they'll have about 10 minutes to speak. We've got a beautiful moderator in the back who's going to hold up a card when you have 2 minutes left. And then when the red card comes up, we move to the next presenter. So sorry that we're just having to do this in such a short amount of time. But I do want to quickly give you a bio before each one of them speaks. So first, I'm going to run through everybody's name, and then we'll go through each person individually. So this is Amar Alima from the World Trade Center, Denver. And then we have Urema Crowley. She is with I Love Me Gems. It's all written on here too, and we're going in the order that they show up. Next is Vani Yurpe from Momotaro. Next we have Greg Mader from Immigrant Services. Then Alejandro Flores Munez from Stokes Pokey, Combi Tacos, and he'll tell you all the rest, super entrepreneur. And then Maria Gonzalez from Adelante Community Resources. And then Lorena Katovici, excellent. And she's from the owner and CEO of Marie Empanada. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. If you haven't, you need to go. All right, we're going to start with Amar. Amar was born in Mongolia, raised in Poland, Ukraine, and Japan. She's experienced in developing international business from scratch and introducing businesses to new markets around the world. Multilingual, speaking Russian, Poland, Mongolian, and English, she earned her bachelor's degree of science degree in international business from Metro State University. Her role in the World Trade Center is to support immigrants to build their international business plan and strategic marketing plan and obtain financing. So, go ahead.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming and so glad to be here. So my name is Amar Alima. I work at World Trade Center Denver with the Global Trade Activator Incubator Program. So we specialize in helping immigrant entrepreneurs to succeed in their export-import business in Colorado. So in our program, we have 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. And in level 1, we have participants, for example, comes to us with okay, thank you so much. So a participant or a client will come to us and say something like, I have a coffee farm in Ethiopia, and I would love to sell my coffee in the United States, but I don't know how, where to start. So we accept them, and we teach them how to create company in the United States and analyze if their product is feasible or not, if it makes sense selling in the United States or not. And in level 2, we have participants who created their company, registered with the state of Colorado, and working on their business plan. And we usually recommend to create business plan anyways, even if you're applying for a business loan or not, because business plan is really important for entrepreneurs because they can realize who's their competition, for how much they should be charging, or if they're pricing higher or slightly lower than competition, then why? And who's the client? To whom are you trying to sell? So where those clients are. So all this process can be done in the process of creating business plan. And at World Trade Center Denver, we help them solve all this international trade logistics. For example, how much I have to pay to bring my coffee into United States, what's the tariff? And how much is the shipment, how much the container is gonna cost me. And all this technical stuff we solve at World Trade Center Denver using all our experts. And we have many mentors from a lot of different fields helping our entrepreneurs to succeed. For example, from US Patent and Trademark Office, our mentors will be helping our entrepreneurs register their trademark. So for example, somebody is not working hard 2-3 years, spending all the money and time, and you just realize the name was actually taken. So all these little things can happen. So we have all these mentors who are over there to help them realize it. And also if it's food product, they have to pass the FDA regulations, and we have all the mentors who are helping with that as well. And we have a lot of student assistants who help our entrepreneurs like do market research, help them market the product, because all these products have to be localized. So for example, when we are trying to sell US products in Asia, then we need to market it in an Asian way so they understand what we are trying to sell, right? So they have to do the same when they are trying to sell the product in United States, so they have to speak in the language so US audience understands and willing to buy. So all this process we are doing in our program, and our students are really helpful. We have many students from MSU, DU, CU, we have now from Iowa as well, so it's very popular. And currently we have 100 participants from 52 different countries. It's very exotic. 60% are from African continent, 30% are from Latin America, and the rest is a little bit from Middle East, East Europe, West Europe, Asia. Yes, and in level 3, we have participants who have created already company, done with business plan, and have the product or service actually ready to sell. Then we focus them on selling the product. For example, online or in a lot of different marketplaces like Ruby's Market. Yes, and a lot of our participants will be renting stores as well. So, and we focus on increasing their revenue. And maybe if they reach the Colorado market, then it's time to sell in different states as well. We have 50 different states to be selling to. And maybe eventually they can go global as well. Yes. So we do all of that at World Trade Center Denver. And yes, maybe the opportunities and challenges I can touch a little bit. Yes, so international business is not easy, as we all know. There's a lot of challenges with that. And for example, political risk. It's something that we cannot control, we don't have control over, and it happens from time to time, like the war in Ukraine and Russia, or participants just have to stop their business for a while. Also, our participants from Afghanistan, they had to also stop their business because of the situation in Afghanistan. But currently, importing still works from Afghanistan, but exporting is not working. And from Ethiopia, we have participants who also had to stop for a couple years because of the ethnic war in Ethiopia, where they bombed the Axum airport, and of course you cannot export import, it's just not a good timing. So we have a lot of things going on like that, but our participants are very positive. They're doing whatever they can do now. which a lot of things can be accomplished right now, like working on your website, working on your business plan, working on your marketing strategy, branding. So all of our participants are working hard and waiting until the economy kicks back in, and I'm sure it will get better soon. And also the opportunities. So there's always bad and good in everything, right? So there's opportunities as well. And we have a lot of government support programs available for entrepreneurs. And not everybody knows that. That's why we are here, World Trade Center. We help them realize what's out there, what kind of resources you can use. So, for example, Minority Business Office provides a grant for startup cost, like the first level cost, creating company, registering your EIN number, creating your website, and all these entrepreneurs can get it reimbursed back. And there's a lot of government programs that support. And government is always supporting entrepreneurs because hopefully entrepreneurs will create jobs and hopefully they will hire a lot of Colorado residents, which is really good to boost the Colorado economy, and which is our mission, everybody's mission, I think. Yes, and there's a lot of small business administration loans as well. There's a climber loan that focuses on helping entrepreneurs who had hard time during the COVID. There's Colorado Startup Loan coming up as well. And there's a lot of different financial institutions that help with microloans for entrepreneurs who are just about to start their business. Yes. Yes, that's the climber loan. So there's a $250 million available for entrepreneurs, and that has to be spread until 2024, which is just a year and a half left. But the requirements were way too high, so they had to have 5 employees at least, show 5 years of positive cash flow, and not many companies could show it. So the money is still there. And just recently, they lowered down the requirements to 1 year of positive cash flow, whatever. Small amount is fine as long as it's positive. And just 1 employee. So a government is working, trying to fit our current situation. And there's a lot of grants available like that. And I believe that's like 2.45 interest rate, which is really good. Yes, so there's starting from 10K up to 500K. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. And we have here one of our amazing entrepreneurs, Yurima and Vani.
In fact, Yurima and Vani are part of the World Trade Center Denver program. So Amar and her team have been helping them all along. And you guys, it sounds like you'd be in level 3. Okay. All right, so Yurima is going to go first. She is the founder of I Love Me Gems. Yurima was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and studied graphic design after traveling throughout South America, China, Europe, and living in Spain, where she started her jewelry journey. She decided to settle in Denver, Colorado with her 12-year-old son, and when conditions worsened in her country, overcoming many challenges and difficulties, and with a desire to provide her son with the best opportunities in life, Yurima decided it was time to help other women achieve their dreams. I Love Me Gems was born out of a passion for jewelry and helping others. Take it away.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great opportunity to tell everybody our story. We are still a very small business, but we are planning to grow as much as we can, as fast as we can. First of all, the name of my company is I Love Me Gems, and we are a group of immigrant women working together in Aurora to make jewelry. The main object of the company is to empower immigrant women here in Colorado through jewelry making. This is part of our, this was our old classroom. Actually, we could, a month ago, rent our first office, and work from there, more comfortable. But we are very grateful to all the nonprofit organizations who lent us the space 4.5 years ago. So I'm going to tell you the beautiful story, very short, and then I'm going to take you through what happened to get to that point. We are now selling in 5 stores here in Colorado, and we are a group of 6 immigrant women, and everybody really loves our jewelry, our design, the mission that is behind the jewelry, the quality, the products are great, hypoallergenic. So it's a beautiful story that is happening now, but to get to that point, we have to work and go through some things, okay? Trying to, oh, okay. This one, this. Okay, excuse me. When I moved to United States 7 years ago, I had my dream that I will have a better life, that I will make my dream come true. This is the best country, and I thought it would be a little easier. It has been great. I'm very grateful, but it was not that easy. When I came here, I had to work in doing many things that I never imagined doing it in my country, but ever, and I had to do it here and doing it positive because I had to show my son that everything was going well, that nothing to worry about, we have to work, we are in this together. And I think many of the immigrant mothers who come here have happened the same, have lived the same story as me. And then we think, is this the real American dream I was thinking before I moved? I sometimes prefer to be in my country again because it wasn't. But I start thinking, okay, I'm capable, I can do things, I can change what is happening now, and I'm prepared, and I just need to be creative and think about what else can I do while I'm still like breaking my back, as we say. I know I can do better. With that, I decide to, on the side of my full-time job, I decided to create this project. It was 4.5 years ago to start working or teaching the ladies in my community through a program that Family Leadership Training Institute that is part of Colorado State University. They offer this course where I could create a project to help the community, and I also could start with my business, and that was what motivated me to continue. Besides my full-time job, because I, of course, had to keep paying bills and do everything. So after I start, I have to be so, well, and I think it's an advice for everybody who wants to start a business, but they are afraid of leaving their job because, of course, the money won't be enough at the beginning. I had to be very flexible. I have to work maybe double. I have to tell my family, please be patient. It's going to be at one point where I can dedicate all my time to the company and the family, but for now I need your support. And they really helped me. I had to work every weekend, going to bazaars and festivals, and work even harder than during the week in the office because I have to set a tent, put tables, and let's make a parenthesis here now because here is Michelle Lashnier, the owner of Ruby's Market, who was a big support from the beginning of our story. Without her, we couldn't be where we are now. She's a great support for immigrants and refugees, small business here. And with that, with all the flexibility we have to have, my family and me and the ladies who were with me in this project, because they didn't know anything at the beginning either. They didn't know how to make the jewelry. They didn't know how to grab a plier. We were learning together, making mistakes. Our customers at the beginning didn't like too much our designs, but they loved the mission that was helping and empowering immigrant women here. And they help us, but then we start adapting to the active life in Colorado and making designs that they really love. And now it's like, I don't know, for us, it's so amazing that the customers come captivated by the design and the beauty of the jewelry, but then when they know what is behind that, they love it even more. But it took some time to understand what was happening here. It's not what we thought, bringing designs from our countries to work with that. That didn't work. Here is different, and people like different things, and we have to understand it and adapt to that. So another advice that worked for us was paying attention, see how customer, how is the people who live in the city or the market where you want to sell your products. Make your ears bigger and hear and see what are they wearing. In our case, see all the jewelry they were wearing, where did they buy it, what was their budget. Also, almost smell the jewelry too. Everything goes together to be able to understand what they really want, what they are needing. It's like we have all these superpowers inside us. It's not something just from the TV program. It's something we can develop and see what other people don't see. Now I can recognize everybody for their earrings. I don't know what color of pants they are wearing or shirt. I know the earrings, I know the necklace. I say, oh yeah, I remember you were wearing this stone that day. Yeah. So that is something that you develop with the time. If you pay attention, is something that was very useful for us. And of course, when you put your heart in what you are doing, when you are doing it because you want to help the community, because yes, it's really for others, what you want to do, you will see the benefits coming back to you so easy. It's not something that you have to pay so much on a marketing, because that is the only way that you can get in return the profit. When you work with your heart to help other people, that is going to come back naturally. It's not something, it's the magic. It's not a big procedure that you have to learn in the university, PhD. So work with your heart, and also take advantage of what Amar was saying, that is the benefits and the support from the government. I decided to jump from my full-time job during COVID in 2020 to full-time in my business with the help of the city of Aurora, a grant that they were giving that year, and also a loan from Kiva. And with that support in my pocket is when I decide, okay, now I have some cushion to start working full-time in my business, and I won't feel so stressed, and I can work relax and focus without pressure. Use the support from the city, use the support from the entities that can lend you money. That was a big step for us to decide to do it. And after we do it, our sales have grown more than 300%. So it has been amazing, and we are very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yurima. Just so you guys know that after everybody gets done, we'll have time for question and answer. So on the back, you can write your questions so that you can address the appropriate person with your questions. So our next guest is Vani Yurpe of Momotaro. Okay. Vani is from South Peru. As a mom, immigrant, and military spouse, she has found it challenging to find a job in this country and decided to create her own solution by opening a business. Vani started her company, My Momotaro, to showcase her Peruvian culture and the wonderful handmade products from Latin America. Her company is woman-owned, located in Colorado. They ethically source products and are transparent in highlighting their work with the native crafters in Latin America who produce handcrafted home decor products.
Hello, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. This is my second startup. My name is Roxana Vani Urpaikamasi. As Becky mentions, I'm original from South Peru. Yeah, that's right. Looks like Colorado because it's a lot of mountains over there. As you can see in the first picture, it's me and my baby. So being a military spouse means you're gonna change the location every single time. It's not a certain time you're gonna be in a settled place. For example, my husband proposed me in Machu Picchu, Peru, and after I said yes, he said, don't think we're gonna move to the United States. We actually gonna move to Japan. And I was really excited because I was still in my 20s. So I said, okay, let's go. I'm going to follow you wherever you're going to go. I'm pretty sure I'm going to find something. So we moved to Japan, and I discovered to find a job over there, you must be U.S. citizen, or you should have a permission from the Japanese government. And also in Japan, I'm Peruvian. I'm not even a Nikkei, a mixed race over there. So the culture, the companies, they're not going to hire me just for one reason, to be a South Peruvian, which is hard to understand. But I say, okay, I'm going to still keep looking job on base. But then again, was this thing to have the U.S. citizen. And then I need to pursue the citizenship. And after I get all of this, I say, okay, I'm ready now. Now I'm U.S. America. What's the next step? I say, oh, no. Next year, we'll move to the United States. Say, okay, let's move. By the way, we're the Navy branch. And then I said, oh, we moved to Colorado. I said, oh, okay, perfect. I was very happy because I was doing already so many volunteer hours in Japan. So when we moved here, I said, okay, I'm going to go the Navy organizations. And my husband said, oh, don't you know? It's not a Navy branch over there. Currently, we're going to be one of the 5 families over there. So I went different places to looking a job. I finally find my dream job, but I need to pay now a daycare, which is one of the huge problems, not just for immigrant women, it's for everybody. A lot of people here in this country, we need to cover this in order to go to job. So I said, okay, what else I need to know in this country? So then I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna open my business. And for this, oh, okay. For this thing, I moved here last year. I need, again, to relearn English because in Japan, I just speak Japanese. So I said, what am I gonna do? I don't have family here. I don't have friends. I don't have nobody in this city. So the first option I had for me, and I really recommend if you want to start a business, is go to the library. It's a place you can find so many resources as I do. When I went there, I offered myself as a volunteer, and then I asked questions if they have books or some classes for entrepreneurs. They say, we don't have nothing in Colorado Springs, but you're welcome to go Denver. So I came to Denver, and I find the organization Mi Casa Resources, which is an organization who helps so many entrepreneurs. And I told them, okay, I want to import products from my country because I want some businesses connect with my roots. I want the bridge to show how is Peru. It's not just Machu Picchu. We're more than that. We can also offer huge amount of quality products. So then they tried to help me and connect me with Amar, with World Trade Center Denver, and I start my story over there. I say, okay, what is the next steps, what I like, if this is really what I want. And one thing I'm really grateful for all of these organizations is you're gonna find a huge networking. It's not gonna just give you a helpful information. Also, they're gonna support you. For example, I have in my right hand an amazing woman who showed me not to be alone in this country. Even if you're a mom, you're gonna have somebody here. You're not alone. Also, I'm very grateful with Michelle, who support so many immigrants and refugees, not just in order to do profit, in order to give us power, like we can share ourselves with other people, and we can really make true the phrase we said, the American dream. Another fact, I'm very grateful with this country because it's one of the countries who has public libraries than other countries. I was living in Japan for 3 years, and it's no way to compare. Even Japan is the futurist country. But here you can find different people who can help you, and also people you can help. The other recommendation I do for someone who's gonna start a business is Google it. Everything, absolutely everything is in Google and YouTube. You want to know how to show your presentation in public, go to YouTube. You wanna know how to do your showcase for your business, go to YouTube. In the last minute, I want to talk about my business. The name is my Motaro, which means a strong son, which is my first son born here in the United States. We import from Mexico and Peru handcrafted items from women's artisans. And also, we just not pay the fair trade price for them. Also, we teach these women how to become self-confident, how to show them they're really important in Latin America society. And now I can say probably and describe myself. I'm Banner Pai, from Peru by birth, and American by choice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vani. Next, we have Gregor. Gregor moved to the United States from Germany in 2000, earning his BA in English and Master's in Applied Linguistics at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. For over 10 years, he worked with refugees, first and second generation immigrants, and undocumented adult learners, assisting with language development and college success and navigating community resources. Gregor is currently the Director of Immigrant Services at MSU Denver, working closely with undocumented and immigrant students. Thank you. And I think I can get your slides up.
Sounds good. If not, we'll manage, I think. Sorry. Yeah, thank you all for coming. It's wonderful to be in such great company. I will talk a little bit less about myself and a little bit more about the Immigrant Services Program and some information that might be helpful for folks who are either pursuing college with immigrant backgrounds or who are interested in the entrepreneurial pathway. But yeah, some of you might find it interesting. I was born and raised in East Germany, so under Russian occupation until I was 11 years old. I could actually look from East Berlin into West Berlin for most of my life. And it was pretty fascinating at some point to hear that the wall had fallen and that you could just walk over there. So walls don't work. They really don't. But I've been with MSU Denver for the last 7 years with the Immigrant Services Program. Really quickly about the institution, a lot of you may be familiar with Metropolitan State University of Denver. It's quite a privilege to work for that institution. 33% of the students identify as Latino, Latina, Latinx. 1 in 4 students speak a language other than English once they leave campus. More than half of our students are the first in their family to ever go to college, and it feels really wonderful to be able to provide access to higher education. That said, it is still incredibly difficult, especially for folks who are not permanent residents, US citizens, or approved asylee refugee folks, to access things like financial aid, in-state tuition, and just navigating the college experience. And so Immigrant Services Program exists to make sure that folks have a place to go if they consider MSU Denver or not, to ask questions about what does it look like to think about college, either as undocumented, DACA status, visa holders, to think about college access, how to find funding for it. That's frankly one of the biggest questions. I will very quickly address that there are many scholarships out there, including, for example, the Dream.US scholarship that can provide part or all of college funding, even to students who don't have a stable immigration status, no immigration status in the US. So it's very much possible to access college in Colorado and to pay for college. However, it can get pretty complicated with state regulation. I will say that since 2019 in the state of Colorado, we thankfully have seen a lot of legislation get put into place under the current administration in Colorado that really has made access to college quite a bit easier. I will talk for a minute about professional licenses at some point as well. But for now, I should probably see if I can move on to the next slide. Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, I have also mentioned Adelante, who we're going to hear from in a minute, as well as Mi Casa Research Center, the Small Business Development Center. We talk with students and community members quite a bit also about what happens after they graduate college or after they leave high school. What about entrepreneurship? What does it look like to be a contractor rather than to be a quote-unquote employee with a company? Because we have limited amounts of time, at the check-in table in the back, I've put a number of resources. One of them is called the Undocumented Career Guide. It exists on our website as well. And there are many similar guides like that that actually go over what does it look like to start a business, to fund a business, to what is an ITIN, individual taxpayer identification number. Organizations like Adelante, Mi Casa Resource Center, and many other fantastic organizations can actually help with those more complicated regulatory processes on either starting a business, funding a business, paying taxes. So I'm referencing a little bit the resources in the back of the room. I'm not gonna go through this too much. This is the kind of information we do cover in workshops, especially for undocumented entrepreneurs on campus. Thankfully, both the College of Business, fantastic entrepreneurs like Alejandro, who's actually come to campus and talked to students for many years now to really show the immigrant community that attends MSU Denver or is otherwise engaged with campus, that not just is being an entrepreneur an option, but it's a very viable way to build a stable, growing income, a career to be a professional. So I'm not going to go through all those really specific items on what is the difference between being a contractor, being an employee. A very quick mention that ITINs, you've heard that reference a couple times already. ITINs are a really important piece in order to pay taxes. Anybody that has an income in the United States should pay taxes on it. It can actually, for immigration-related proceedings, really be helpful to show that, yes, for my income in the US over the last couple of years, I've been paying taxes. The other thing, ITIN numbers can actually also help in some less visible ways. So especially in states like Colorado, where we do have immigrant and undocumented friendly laws, at least some of them, ITINs are oftentimes used as an alternative to Social Security numbers, for example, on loan applications, for example, on specific scholarship opportunities. We've also seen ITINs work for some background checks. For example, Colorado Bureau of Investigation allows folks to use an ITIN instead of a Social Security number to undergo a background check. We work quite a bit with folks who are pursuing a career that does require background checks, and should they not be able to provide a social, an ITIN is actually pretty helpful as well. I've also listed two specific organizations that can help with ITINs. The Denver Asset Building Coalition has been a great partner. Again, Adelante, Mi Casa Resource Center are really great places to go and to say, I'm not quite sure how to deal with that specific aspect of business development and business management. Immigrants Rising is a fantastic organization. They're out of California, but a lot of the resources that they've developed, we've adopted on campus. For example, following what happens at colleges, universities in California, and in other very immigrant-friendly states, we try to adapt those, and oftentimes adapt this first. At MSU Denver, we bring immigration attorneys to campus. We've funded over 130 DACA renewal grants since 2017. We partner with the Dream.US, which is a scholarship that fully funds DACA and undocumented students. Really quickly, professional licenses, there has been some really important changes in Senate Bill 21077. There's actually a write-up about that on the back table. All that is to say is now there is not a screening anymore for immigration status for professional licenses overseen by the Department of Regulatory Agencies. There's also a handout in the back that lists some of those entrepreneurship resources that are especially helpful for folks who are not U.S. citizens, who are immigrant, and that's it. Thank you all so much.
So next we have Alejandro Flores Munoz. Alejandro is a seasoned entrepreneur and activist who has made it his mission to advocate for marginalized communities. As an outspoken queer, DACA, Latinx person, Munoz's life work aims to champion for the next generation of intersectional entrepreneurs. Alejandro owns 3 businesses: Stokes Pokey Food Truck, Combi Cafe, a contemporary Mexican coffee house, and Fresco Fridge, a smart vending machine business, which I believe is in Meow Wolf. So take it away. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Hello. Sorry. Hey everyone, my name is Alejandro Flores Munoz, and thank you everyone for being here and for participating in this panel discussion. I'm a DACA recipient. I'm an undocumented individual, and in 2013, my entrepreneurship journey started exactly the same time when DACA was passed. DACA allows people like me who were brought to this country as young adults or children to be able to get work authorization, but also be able to be deferred from deportation. And I knew in 2013 that it was not a permanent solution. To this day, we sit on a limbo whether or not our status is gonna be renewed or it's gonna be taken away. And I knew that very early on when I was 23 years old, that I needed to have a plan B. Growing up in the United States, watching my mom, a single mother, do different hustles, right? Not only my mom, but my tia, my uncle, every single person in my family has had some sort of side hustle, including my neighbors. I'm pretty sure folks around here know that, what I'm talking about, right? And so when I grew up watching my mom going door to door and selling cheesecakes, for example, or selling perfumes or whatever what was the thing that she was selling, I knew that it was just enough to be able to pay the bills, right? But it was never enough to be able to actually become an entrepreneur. I don't think that my mom ever thought her as herself as an entrepreneur or as a businesswoman. She just did it to pay the bills. And so when I had the opportunity to kind of start my own hustle, I wanted to kind of like do it the right way, right? Like have everything legitimized, not only licensing, but marketing and everything that folks have talked about already. I knew that I had to do that. And so because I'm also a millennial, that came a little bit easier for me, right? As you mentioned, everything is on Google, right? A lot of my business stuff that I started, my website, marketing, importing things from overseas to the United States, all of that I was able to kind of navigate on my own. It's been now several years since I started my first hustle. And what I tell folks as when they're thinking of starting their own business is to get started right away. And a lot of times it's easier said than done, right? Because one, we lack the educational background as to where to go, where to get started. We lack the capital funding. We lack so many barriers that are like put in front of us at times that prevents us from doing that. However, I found out through just my journey that because I started so little, right? When I first, like, and I mean by small, I started so small in terms of funding, only with $1,000 in product. Sometimes my first business was a sunglass business where I sold sunglasses, and I started with $3,000 worth of product. And so that's what has allowed me to kind of like get to the next step. And so as I've been going through my journey, I've also realized that not only are there barriers when it comes to financial finances, there's also barriers, for example, to grow and to scale. And sometimes that's why you need these licenses. This is why you need to be able to know when to pay taxes and what quarter and all these other kind of structures that are embedded in entrepreneurship that a lot of times we don't think about. And so I am very excited that we have folks here who actually represent some of these organizations that provide and give back. In 2020, we all had struggles throughout the pandemic. As a small business owner myself, I had a lot of corporate clients when I had a catering business, and I still do, but I had a lot of corporate clients. We all know what happened, right? Everybody started working from home. I lost all my catering gigs, right? All of the things that I had, and so I went from having a very successful business, having 5 employees, to all of a sudden having to shut down. And so that's when I started looking into resources and into programs. Before, I was just like, I will figure this out on my own. I can navigate it, and I was just going through that system. When the pandemic happened, I realized that there were so many opportunities out there or resources that a lot of times I didn't know existed. It took a global pandemic for me to not only look for those resources, but also some of these entities or organizations to rethink how they provide those resources to folks, right? For me, not having a stable credit score or not having the documentation or whatever it was, there's been organizations and opportunities that eliminate those things, that make it more attainable. And so when I tell folks now who are thinking of getting started is, one, get started right away, regardless if you're selling to only your uncle and your aunt and your neighbors. Just get started, because that's going to show you what is the next step that you need in your journey. The second most important thing is that cast a wide net when trying to get resources. Not only from loans where you have to pay back. Those are the ones that I actually don't like to apply for. I like to apply for the grants where you don't have to pay them back. Those are the best ones. And Once you apply for one grant, you're gonna know what it's required, and every other grant or loan application is gonna be very similar. So yes, you're gonna need to know how much you made the previous year. You're gonna need to know your ITIN number. You're gonna need to know all these little things that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise had to go research. Other than because now you're applying and you're doing this. So I've been able to not only survive the pandemic, but continue to grow my business because I've been able to take advantage of these resources. And so if I was to tell anyone something now is to look for resources in community, government agencies, for-profit agencies, because the funding is out there now. And I think that right now, it is the most viable time to be able to start your own hustle because of all those things that we just mentioned and because of all these opportunities that sit here in this room. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alejandro. That's amazing. Okay, next we have Maria Gonzalez from Adelante Community Resources. Maria founded Adelante Community Development, a nonprofit organization that advocates for health, equity, and economic justice for Spanish-speaking Latinos in Colorado. She's also an undergraduate at MSU Denver, which we're so honored. Amar graduated from MSU Denver. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. She is currently appointed by the governor as a member of the Minority Office Business Advisory Council, Colorado's Premium Cost Containment, and the New American Community Advisory Committee. Are you on those? Three committees. So thank you. Take it away.
Thank you. Gracias. What an opportunity to share our story. And what an opportunity to be inspired by each one of these entrepreneurs. I was once an entrepreneur myself as well. I was able to start up a business, grow the business, and sell the business. And if somebody would have told me when I was growing up in Mexico as one of 14 children that one day I would come to Colorado and do all of those things, I would have said, you are crazy. That is never going to happen. But it did, and that is the beautiful opportunity that this country has for us that are hard workers, that are hustlers, that believe in ourselves, and that are inspired. And today, I'd like to share the story about Adelante. Adelante in Spanish, it's a very beautiful word. In English, it translates to moving forward. We started Adelante in 2014 as a nonprofit organization, and we are rebranding ourselves right now. And this is our mission. We want to make sure that we listen to entrepreneurs, that we value entrepreneurs, that we validate their needs, and that overall they have a place where they can grow and bring back to the community. That's me right there. I'm a very happy person. I practice happiness every day, because this might be the last day that we have on earth. And if we don't practice happiness, then what are we doing in this world? As we know, being an entrepreneur is not easy. You do it? Okay. But we want to make sure that we, as an organization, we support these individuals. First, Spanish-speaking entrepreneurs. That is our goal. They are full of barriers, not just the immigration status, but every type of barrier that you can imagine that you've heard, but also their families, the entrepreneur, their family, their employees, in that community that needs to be impacted. And then we work in the front range communities. When we started Adelante, it was because there was lack of technical assistance, lack of support, and people really wanted to get their businesses straightforward. They wanted to obey the rules and regulations, but there's not really a lot of resources that can help us do that. So we understand now that we had to figure out those priorities for them. The first priority that we work on is business compliance. We realize that without the knowledge of understanding legal procedures, the formation of the business, the ownership of the businesses, the city, the county, the state, the taxes, federal taxes, state taxes, there are so many different opportunities to fail. So we make sure that we understand what is the complexity of that business in that industry, and we align that person with that jurisdiction to make sure that they have the right business compliance and that they are operating and knowing how to renew those licenses and permits every single time that it's needed. The second area that we help with is the actual digital support. We call it digital transformation. During the pandemic, we realized small businesses and entrepreneurs did not have a way to be competitive in the online. They didn't have a website, no social media, and people needed to know how to sell online. So what we've created with digital transformation is that we help them launch their website, create their social media content, connect those social medias to their websites, and really create that opportunity for them to be competitive online and to know that if they are not operating on an online presence, they're non-existent. And that's a very hard thing to talk to Spanish-speaking entrepreneurs because the digital barrier is real. And they have been left behind through this process. So we have to go through that process of mindset. This is the new type of business. And if you are not as a new part of this business structure, you are going to fail. And it's the numbers that are going to tell you. So we help them through that process. The last one is education, as we mentioned. This is a new country, new rules, new way to operate it. So we have 4 different models to teach. One is a 14-week business boot camp. We teach them all of the business fundamentals that they need, from marketing, finance, accounting, insurance, branding, all of those opportunities that they might not have because they didn't go to college, because they didn't grow up owning businesses, but we teach them that. And tomorrow we'll be celebrating 27 of our graduates from the fall program. We call this program Adelante Negociante, so businesses moving forward. And the other program that we have is called Sal y Pimienta. This is a food truck academy, 20-hour, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We teach them all of the business skills that they need to run and operate a very successful food truck. There's a lot of fraud. People are stealing a lot of business information, business food trucks, the actual food truck, they're being stolen, they're being taken advantage of so much fraud that is going out there. We bring all these businesses, these entrepreneurs, we teach them everything that they need to do so that they are not victims and that they are successful in those businesses. We have several of the business programs that we teach. 100% of our programs are in Spanish. And we realize that that is a need across the metro area, across the state, and we are willing to grow other languages, but right now our priority are Spanish speakers. The families, we cannot continue to leave families behind. These families of entrepreneurs, when the pandemic started, we began vaccination. We've done over 15,000 vaccinations. We provide health access, education, resources, legal representation, legal clinics, and we also provide financial empowerment. Why? All of these components are what are making our community stronger. But if we don't analyze those needs, if we don't validate those needs, then we'll continue to leave the entrepreneur and their families and the community behind. So please join us in this organization to bring these opportunities to make sure that our entrepreneurs and their families and our communities are supported through any other resource that you might have to offer. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Maria. All right, so our last presenter is Lorena from Maria Empanada. Lorena is the force behind Maria Empanada, the Denver-based restaurant chain that in only 11 years earned national recognition as the leading brand of artisan empanadas and is credited with developing the on-trend, differentiated, and highly scalable craft casual concept. Lorena came to Denver from Argentina with only $300 in her pocket, not a word of English, and the determination to make it big. In 2011, she started selling empanadas from her garage, mostly to friends and family. I can't wait to hear the rest of the story.
Hello, hello. There we go. Have you been in those big cities, probably with guys that are selling purses on the floor, and when they see probably a police, they grab everything and they start running, and everybody's looking what's going on there? But that used to be me and my mom in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, a few years ago. But instead of purses, I was selling electrical supplies. Nothing cool. I didn't want to keep anything of that. So we did have a very difficult time in my country, and tired of all that, even working in a bank, we were not making it. I remember one night she called me and she told me, come help me. And I went to help her very dark and putting all the electrical supplies in bags and then go to the bus and then go home very late. So that's how it used to be a little bit of life in Buenos Aires. I'm very tired of that. I just grabbed my bag or my backpack and $300, and I came to the United States trying to look for a different type of life. And I arrived here, I arrived with my dreams, trying to make it big, like she mentioned. At the same time, with some education that I have, I was an accountant in Argentina, and I used to be working in this bank. And when I arrived here to the United States with no word in English, the first thing that I did is to work in a Mexican restaurant, because that's where I'm going to be able to speak in Spanish. But no, it wasn't like that. Every single customer speaks in English. But what they do is that they point. Everybody, when you order in a menu, you distinguish that everybody points. So that was kind of easy. I learned a lot of English anyways in the restaurant industry, but I started falling in love with everything that has to do. And all the things that I have in my background with bank, manuals, processes, systems, I was seeing that in the restaurant, you have them also too. So this is an industry that I never paid attention before, and I didn't appreciate it. Now it's a lot of appreciation into every single plate that comes to in front of you when I'm going for dinner, right? So the connection between the passion of attending people, serving them, and food makes me create something that I wanted to provide, something that came also from my roots. And those were empanadas, something that I used to make very well with my family. This is something that you learn since you are little. Because in my country, you do that since you are little because it's a great opportunity to resolve all the problems, political, religious, all the problems in Sundays with your family, and you are cooking from the beginning in scratch to the end. So that's probably a process of 5 hours. And I say, okay, there's a business here, I will do this. And making empanadas is not very simple, it takes time. So putting all that into magic, I grab one day to my mom, and I say, okay, you need to make empanadas like you do it at home, and I will be paying attention to every single process. And she started putting salt and things like that without measuring, and I stop everything, and I said, no, let's measure. So that's the way how I created every single recipe. 50% of the recipes are my mom's, the other 50% are mine. I learned how to make empanadas now. So here in the United States, I started looking for help, little English, loving the industry. I wanted to start my own businesses, and I didn't know how to do it. So one of the first things that I did is start to go to small business administration, and they guide me. This is something that we probably pass sometimes, and we don't understand why they are there. Well, actually getting close to them, there's a lot of programs, and they can teach you how to create your own business. The first program that I took is by the SBDC, and they teach me how to do a business plan. And I say, why do I need to do this? Well, actually, my business plan is what helped me to go and look for money, right? So all my life, I was always needing for money, for it, or for going to work, or for trying to build my business. Always you need to go for money. And it didn't end. Even now that Maria Empanada has 11 years, I'm still looking for money. So that's not a problem that is going to be resolving, but I will tell you something later. So anyways, I created my beautiful business plan in a fantastic binder in English, and I went to several different banks, and I get completely rejected. Number 1, number 2, probably bank number 10, and I got completely no in every single loan that I was applying. I learned that a no is not going to stop me, it's going to give me more power to look for more. So I opened my first location. I went for a loan, but this was my mother-in-law and my friend who gave me $4,000, and I opened Maria Empanada with $4,000, believe it or not. I was able to rent a little location in Lakewood. I used that as a prototype or laboratory. I tested every single thing over there. Those were the most fantastic 2 years of my business. Even that door didn't open enough and the sales were not enough. Thank God I was continue working in another thing, and my husband was working. I was able to learn every single process, every single client that was coming, I was understanding their needs. I created my employee manual in those 2 years. I was finding the recipes and making sure that I was refining everything that I wanted. My processes were created right there and systems, and I was paying attention to every single process of the business. But those 2 years, I didn't make it. So Maria Empanada almost died right there until I did have an opportunity. And one of the things that I said is I mentioned opportunity, but actually I found the opportunity. I went to a beautiful place on Broadway in Louisiana, and I saw it, and I fell in love, and I was thinking that was a corner like in Buenos Aires. And I went and talked to the owner, and I said, you know what, I'm losing my listing in this place. I want to come here. And I gave my binder and I explained, and I started talking probably for an hour, and he didn't stop me. And then I said, I need help. And he actually is the one that gave me the opportunity. He used to live in Argentina, and that was fantastic. So basically, he understood what I wanted to do. And he gave me an opportunity to enter in that place, to rearrange the payment probably in a year, and I started bringing Maria Empanada. So then is when we moved from one place to the other. And that was very important for my business, because then is when I learned that location, it is a very important piece in this journey. The location of Broadway brought a lot of visibility, traffic, people start seeing us, not only celebrity chefs, Food Network, the Vice President Kamala Harris, everybody came to that location, and that was because visibility and the place and the vibe and, of course, the growth of the business. So, I feel tired, but a lot of very good things happened after that. I will tell you something that I started myself in my own kitchen doing just 3 dozen of empanadas when I was so intimidated by that number. What, do I need to do 36 empanadas? How am I going to do this? Well, now we are doing 90,000 empanadas per month. Now we are bringing something that started just with me and my mom. Now we are having more than 50 employees. Now we are having 3 locations. We needed to close 2 for COVID, but that doesn't stop me, because we will open 3 locations more in 2023. And my intention is to bring empanadas with a beautiful smile to all the country, because my company is like me, is unstoppable. So I just wanted to share my story. I hope this gives you hope for not stop in any no that you will probably hear from banks or from somebody else. So thank you.
Thank you, Olga-san. Thank you so much. It was amazing to hear all the beautiful things you had to share. And now I'd like to open it up to questions to anybody in the audience. If you raise your hand, I'll run the mic to you so that you can be heard.
Hi. Well, thank you for telling all the stories. I just wanted to ask a question to Adelante. You talk about the boot camps, and so is that are those resources for free, or for the boot camps they need to pay in order to learn all those processes?
Thank you for the question. Yes, so we do have some free that are, some workshops that are for free. The majority of our services do have a fee, and for the majority of the individuals that are not able to afford it, we have a scholarship. We work very closely with other foundations that help us to be able to pay for those scholarships when in need. For example, our 26 graduates for tomorrow, 100% of them got 50% of their scholarship for that course. Yes.
I would like to point out the banner behind Maria and the way she's presenting herself. She's like the branded version of Maria. Thank you. That's like, it matters, doesn't it?
It does. That's part of the business. Yeah, we were talking about building a mascot for Adelante, and it's like, okay. I just, these colors are very important. When we were building our logo, we thought about, we want to work with females and males, and everybody. It doesn't really matter who comes to Adelante. We are going to be here to continue that dream, to support them through that process, because without that bridge, we get them lost. And when the pandemic started, a lot of entrepreneurs were employees, and they were let go of their jobs, and they had to recreate themselves. And we are there to give them that support one step at a time. So.
Thank you. Next question.
Hello there. I was curious about learning more about interactions with both the state level government or local government as well as like the federal level government. And I thought I'd ask my question like this: is rosebud thorn of like rose is something that worked out really well or was helpful. A bud is something that you think has a lot of potential or opportunity, and thorn is something that was problematic or you wish was different. Of working with either like state or local government or federal government in all of your journeys?
I can start with that. So when the pandemic started, we began working very closely with the local municipalities, and we started this communication about supporting the Latino entrepreneurs to apply for the grants. But it was a lot of negotiation on what are the requirements that they really should ask for these individuals to apply for benefits. And the criteria had to be reduced because many of these individuals are not prepared. So that was the local municipalities. We were very successful with several of them supporting the applicants through grant applications. But the Small Business Development Center should, in my opinion, build more capacity because they lack having Spanish Spanish-speaking consultants that can help us to bring that back office support to the number of individuals. For example, last year, Adelante helped 350 small entrepreneurs go through the business compliance with no funding, okay? It was all free for them. And if we would have received a Small Business Administration, a Small Business Development Center, or Minority Business Office financial support, we probably could have doubled the support because we were at capacity. We had to say no. And so at this point, Adelante is being looked at, oh yeah, you are a development center, you're economic opportunity location, but we are building our infrastructure in order for us to qualify for some of these major grants and opportunities so that then we can build back. But it's hard. We never received any funding from the state, from the federal, last year or the last 2 years. This year, finally, we are able to receive a significant grant through Adams County ARPA funds, almost a $4 million grant in order for us to continue this labor of entrepreneurship and support in addition to health access. But it took so much of the work, building the credibility, and flat out calling people out. Because it is time for our Latino, Spanish-speaking entrepreneurs to be listened to be validated, and we've had to be that voice. And it's been very uncomfortable, very challenging, But at the end of the day, we must bring these issues to the table so that we bring collaboration and so that we all make sure that nobody gets left behind. Very good question. Thank you.
Oh,
Hi, everybody. Talking about that point is really, really important to, people or a nonprofit organization like yours and other ones can receive those funds. Talking in that level, do we have any representation on the Congress or state House representatives to provide those funding that you guys need and provide to new entrepreneurs, Latino entrepreneurs, which I believe we want to take over of Colorado and our country because we have a big force coming in Latinos entrepreneurs.
So part of, I can answer that real quickly. Part of when I had a full-time job, my position was a political director. So politics and elected officials and who we elect to represent us really does matter. I know that, for many years, the immigrant community has always received the short end of the stick, yet we are coming out in numbers, in voting, in making sure that our voices are being heard. And so I think right now, more than ever, we're starting to see people who are being elected into office not only speak up for immigrant rights and pathways to getting us the representation that we need, even though it's starting, I think, in a very local level, we're starting to see more state legislators, people who are running for Congress, who are running for office, who are actually getting elected and talking about the issue. So I think that it's taken a long time, but it's getting there. If I could run for office, trust, I would run and make sure that I write all these bills to be able to get there. But most recently, I had the opportunity to go to the White House and actually sit down with Vice President Kamala Harris to talk about not only DACA and the fate of DACA, but also highlight entrepreneurship and how much we're bringing. If anything, this pandemic, I think, showed that immigrant entrepreneurs, immigrant labor force, has been needed, and we were in the forefront. And so now I think that this conversation is a little bit easier to have because we've shown up. We've shown up for many years, and I'll continue to say this. We need to invest in our communities to making sure that they are well represented and that they know that they need to vote and they need to come out and vote for folks who are going to ultimately have our say and be unapologetic about the bills and the legislation that they push forward.
That's a very important question for us right now. As a newer organization in this role, we believe that some elected officials are very used to the same organizations that have been servicing Latino community for years and years and years, but have not changed the systems. Therefore, not reaching out to this new generation of Latino entrepreneurs. And the problem that we have is that the funds continue to go to those same organizations that continue to have the same results, and that we are left out of this opportunity because we lack the political knowledge, savvy, and the know who's who in office. And we don't want to play that game. We want to make sure that organizations like Adelante get the support that is needed because we see the impact in the community that we are servicing. But it's not easy to break that political barrier because there's this wall of support has been issued. Like immediately, if there's a new fund, these organizations are outreach immediately. And we are a newer organization that, who's Adelante? What are they doing? And so we had to prove so much harder to make sure that we get $1 and that we then split that dollar with thousands and thousands of our undocumented community.
I would like to add something that Alejandro said also. Once we become entrepreneur, or you open the doors of your business, you become a leader, and it's our responsibility to give back. And the way to give back is this, is communicating our needs. is making sure that we announce what we need. In my case for the industry, when Kamala Harris came to Maria Empanada, I talk about the restaurant industry, the immigrant. It's very important that we continue communicating. So if you are going to open your business, this is the startup week, right? If you are going to open your business, you need to start communicating these needs. And something that I just learned from Maria, this is our time. She just told me before, a few minutes before we start, you are immigrant, this is our time.
Okay, did you say Kamala Harris came to your restaurant? Oh my gosh, wow, that's so cool. Okay, next question. Oh, did anybody else have a comment about? Okay, another question?
Thank you all for your inspiring stories. I'm Karen with World Trade Center Denver, and I'm really pleased to hear all of your journeys. I'm wondering if it's ever been, or maybe you have several examples of when it's been to your benefit to be an immigrant and how you've leveraged it for the positive. I think you're all incredible, and you have some advantages, I think. What are those? Because I think you should focus on those.
Well, great question, by the way. And this is something that I wanted to say also. I believe there's a lot of advantage that we need to take advantage of, right? In 2017, I received funds from a venture capital, and I noticed at that time, with time basically, that I was part of a very elite segment. So just to give you an idea, in 2021 came the numbers that venture capital put money, right? Only women received 2.5% of the whole pool of money that goes to entrepreneurs. And only 0.25% of the 2.5% goes to Latinos. So it is absolutely super necessary that we can talk about all this and we take this as an ambassador. This is something that I want to talk everywhere. Even if you ask me for empanadas, I will talk about we need money or we need to be considering the rest of the pool because that difference is not good. So I believe that there's a lot of benefits for that.
For me, when I'm asking for funding for the organization, I do tell my story. You know, I was an entrepreneur. I know all of these hassles. I know all the problems. And as a woman, I was a single mother of two when I started the business. And so I do use that. I didn't know how to use that to my advantage because I was at one time embarrassed because our Latino community is very critical about, living like that, choosing that kind of life. And so it was very hard. But once I understood how powerful my story was of, right after the 2008, 2009 recession, me brave enough starting a business as a woman, single parent, and then being able to successfully sell the business, I use that as much as I can. But I feel like sometimes it's not enough. It's not enough to just tell the story. And so that's why, we compile stories of our entrepreneurs, and we want to make sure that we leverage that so that we can continue to get more, not just the funding, but just thinking about the big picture for our communities. Give them that validation, give them that space where they can really feel that they belong.
So as an undocumented immigrant, it's not easy to say that, especially out loud. I remember I came out as undocumented when I was 18 years old in 2007, before DACA. And now it's easier for me to say that because I have a protectionist, essentially, but it's allowed me to not only kind of like feel comfortable within myself, but also be alerted about opportunities because I'm part of the community, the undocumented community, the documented community. So sharing my story has allowed me to take part of opportunities that maybe otherwise I wouldn't have been able to know that they existed.
I'm going to take my university administrator hat off for a minute. As I mentioned at the beginning, when I started talking, I'm from East Germany, and I've always been treated differently as a white immigrant. I actually overstayed a tourist visa, and when I walked pre 9/11, when I walked what back then was Immigration Naturalization Services, and I said, "Here I am. I get married now. You know, where's my green card?" They looked me up and down, and they said, "This is not really how this works. You know, you have to go back to your home country. You know, committed immigration violation. You're really they're really like you have problems. You created problems for yourself. But you know what we're going to do?" And they essentially rubber stamped me through. The people that handle immigration cases have immense power. They did pre 9/11, pre Department of Homeland Security, and they do now. And with that power comes their ability to let biases dictate these life and death choices that they make over people's lives. And I think as a white immigrant, it is my role and it is our role to highlight that, because people listen to us differently. It's awful, but it's the truth.
So one of the benefits for me is to keep empower other military spouses who came over this country. For example, when you immigrant to the United States as a military spouse, you must be at home at least for 8 months or a year. Nobody gonna visit you. You cannot go outside because the husband is deployed. So this help us to say, "Oh, Bunny, what are you doing today? Are you gonna go farmer's market? Could you bring my products too? How you doing?" So for me, the huge benefit is to show we can do it. Even if we need to be at home more than 8 months, we can do business here. Especially in United States, because the e-commerce is growing huge. So our community started in Fort Carson with 3 wives. Now we're over than 50, and all of them are entrepreneurs, and they are not just waiting for the paycheck of the soldier.
Well, my story is very short, but I want to share with you that being an immigrant has been the success of my company. It's my business card where I go everywhere. I'm an immigrant, and the ladies who are with me in this project are all immigrants, and it's how we have been able to open the hearts and pockets and wallets of everybody. It sounds funny, but it's the truth. There is a lot of people who support immigrants here. I know they might not be on the Capitol making laws or anything, but the people who we are day by day are who made our life, our routines, and for us has been amazing meeting them and telling them our stories, and they love it, and they feel so sensitive about us and giving us motivation. Keep doing it, keep doing it. This is so worth it. I love what you are doing, and it helps us to continue. So being an immigrant have been the best benefit we have in this country to grow our business.
Thank you. So I'm an immigrant as well. So I was born in Mongolia, raised in Poland, Ukraine, Russia, Japan. So I lived in third world country, in first world country. I see all the difference. I see how people, how they communicate differently. There's a lot of things to say. But I see America is actually a really, really good country. And if you just work hard, you will get everything you want. And there's so many resources available for immigrants, for women, for whoever your title is. And I think we shouldn't be thinking more about titles, but since it's America, it's melting pot of the world, we all have some kind of titles. So I think we should just use it as an advantage and go for it. Go for that big dream. It's really big. Don't get overwhelmed. Break it down to the steps and do it step by step, and you will get there, right?
Thank you all for answering that question, which might have been difficult for some, but I just want to say, none of you said that you bring this global mindset. You bring a different way to solve problems than we do as non-immigrants. And this is what I love. I love to see, my husband's an immigrant, I love to see how his mind works when we're tackling a problem that's very different than the way I would. And to be honest, you're also so globally connected. You want to stay in touch with your families back home. You want to help those communities. And this is why we started our program at the World Trade Center, was because all we have to do is teach them, the trade, the technical part. They've got all the other elements already there. So it's exciting to see all of you really thrive in your businesses, and just know that I think I'm a huge fan of immigrants. So.
Okay, one last comment.
Right now in this country, of every $1 spent by or invested by on VC firms, venture capital firms, of every dollar, only 2.5% of that dollar goes to women entrepreneurs. And of that, a quarter goes to minority, BIPOC entrepreneurs. Is there anything being done specifically to address that issue in the levels that you guys have dealt with? Working specifically to make it easier for minority/BIPOC women entrepreneurs to get access to capital?
Well, maybe I can answer that question. So yes, there's a lot of programs targeting specifically immigrant entrepreneurs and women in business as well. And that's why that's part of our program as well. And not many people know that. So we are here to explain it. And for immigrants, it's of course very challenging since it's a second language, new country, new rules, new system. Everything is new. So organizations like us, we exist to explain it because they have already their power. They have already this entrepreneurial instinct. They just need to adapt.
Are there any programs you know that are specifically targeting that population?
Yes, like immigrant program at World Trade Center Denver, we specifically target that. Yes, venture capital, yes. So we work with a lot of different organizations, collaborate, whatever is existing right now. So we just need to stay on top and connect them to the resources we have. Yes.
Excellent. So our guests will be gathered here for a few minutes for you guys to kind of come up and talk to them specifically if you have questions specific to one of our lovely guests. So I, on behalf of MSU Denver and the World Trade Center and all of these unbelievably incredible resources and entrepreneurs, thank you for coming. We can make a difference. And I would hope that at some point you guys would figure out how to run for office, because we need people to do that. I mean, could you run for office? Yeah, Maria, we need that. We need you. We need you guys to step up and do this. Yeah. Okay.
So there's still a lack of acceptance for immigrants, especially I live in Commerce City. I ran in Commerce City for mayor, and I ran for House District 32, and I learned a lot. It's overwhelming. It's very necessary, but it does need a lot of you to be able to be in those settings of being a politician and understand, how you're treated as a politician, and then how your mindset changes once you become one. But it's definitely in the radar, later. Right now I'm enjoying grandchildren, so that's easier to do that.
Wonderful and easy to do that. Okay, thank you so much. We'll hang about to talk with you specifically about the issues if you want to address our people. Thank you.